Anna buys a red, white, and blue rocket pop at the convenience store, and when she comes out, her cousin is sitting on the curb. Julia looks tired, deflated. She is wearing the red sweatshirt, and Anna is surprised at how red it is in real life, how things tend to fade or to blur when you're looking hard for them. "I saw you go in," Julia says. "I really wanted a popsicle." Anna has already unwrapped the popsicle, so she sits down on the curb and sucks on it. She hands it to Julia, who takes it and bites the pointed tip of the rocket off. "Sorry," she says, "I'm hungry." Anna shrugs. The cold makes her teeth ache. "Where were you all day?" Julia's feet are dirty and she rubs at bloody blisters on her heels. Her leggings, rolled up to her knees, are stained with salt. She doesn't answer. Instead, she moves closer and puts her head down on Anna's shoulder. "That thing looks like a penis," she says. They pass it back and forth, and it stains their lips, melts and drips blue onto the pavement. As they approach the house, Anna wheeling the bike and Julia holding a huge cup of fountain soda, they think it looks like a commercial for a homey cottage. Windows making yellow light, Paul Simon playing loud, seafood grilling. "What, do they have every single light on?" Julia says. They stop in front of it, watching. Anna shakes her head. She has trekked around all day in the sun, in the sand, doing them a favor. She has found Julia, she has brought her home safely. Then a curtain moves and her mother's face appears in the window, her hair coming out of her ponytail, her cheeks pink, and her smile when she sees them, her open mouth exclamation as she turns away from the window and calls into the house, "The girls are home," makes them feel like they could be home. The pieces of lobster on the grill look like big pink insect parts, legs and torsos in sections, and the girls look at them with identical wrinkled nose expression. "You'll see, though, how good it is," Sue says. She has never actually cooked lobster. She and Ellen found an old cookbook in the house with very detailed instructions. For most of the afternoon and evening, they have been boiling, lowering lobsters into what looks like an enormous stock pot, firing up the charcoal grill, hacking 2 of the lobsters apart, per the instructions in the cookbook. They have also made it through 1 bottle of wine, a slightly effervescent vino verde, which is like drinking dry, light, white grape juice. They have opened another. Cape seafood earlier, the sisters pointed to the ones they wanted, and a kid, probably the owner's son, fished them out of the big, clean tank with a lobster-sized net. They brought the lobsters home in a paper bag inside of a plastic bag, while the animals moved, crinkling, scratching against its sides with their exoskeleton legs. For the first 3 hours, Ellen had called Julia's phone at intervals. Then she had stopped. They danced in the living room, they poured wine into coffee mugs because there didn't seem to be any wine glasses. They wore tank tops and admired how perky their breasts still were, side by side in the bathroom mirror. Into the second bottle, Ellen lay face down on the rug and cried in big convulsions. She had always been a gasper. "What if she doesn't come back?" Ellen said. And Sue lay down next to her and cried too, thinking of her own daughter out there by herself during the 4th hour, the 5th. "What have we done?" Sue said. "We can only do what we can do." So they got up and shucked 5 ears of corn and made a chili lime rub. When the lobster is ready, everyone is calm. Julia is not talking much, but she is sitting next to her mother, and Sue notices that she doesn't shrug off Ellen's hand on her back. Anna is sunburned, her exposed forehead pale red, freckles coming out on her nose and cheeks while Sue watches. "I insist you wear these," Sue says, and passes around crinkly paper bibs with red lobsters on them. They look around at each other, oversized babies or dental patients. The melted butter in small bowls, the nutcracker-like tools, the blackened corn. And for your reference, a tutorial. Sue holds up a plastic plate with tiny drawings of lobsters all the way around its rim. Diagrams detailing the placement of the cracker, the hands, how to avoid the undesirable parts. They're hesitant at first, but it turns out there is something so satisfying about cracking the hard outer shell and pulling out the sweet meat that it takes a certain amount of skill, and there is no sound for a while except the cracking, the dipping, the chewing. "Mom," Anna says when they are sitting back from the table, hands on their bellies. "Let's camp." Sue blinks. "Tonight? It's 10 o'clock. Hannah shrugs and looks down at her plate. "So?" "We'll clean up," Ellen says. "Go ahead." Sue feels drunk, sluggish, and she shakes her head to clear it on the short walk from the house to the beach. Her daughter walks close to her in the dark. They are each holding a sleeping bag, and Sue has the tent, a lightweight two-man, slung over her shoulder. It is cool out and clean feeling. Sue is wearing the headlamp she uses for camping and fix-it jobs around the house, and she angles her head down so the circle of light is on the road in front of them, then on the wooden stairs down to the beach. They can hear the water moving in small, rhythmic pushing and pulling, even though it's hard to see it. When they reach the beach, the moon seems brighter, less obscured by trees or houses, and they smile at each other in its light. They lie down the square of plastic they use as a tarp, assemble the tent's two long, flexible poles, and thread them through the top of it crossways. Until recently, when Anna got old enough to make her own decisions about camping, Sue had dragged her to the Adirondacks, to the Catskills, to the Alleghenies. They have set up this tent together 100 times. Sue drinks from the water bottle she brought, swishes the liquid around in her mouth. The ocean smells like lobsters. They crawl into the tent, leaving their flip-flops at the door, and roll out their sleeping bags side by side. Anna's is smaller and shorter, and she will outgrow it soon. Sue wiggles over and kisses some part of her daughter's head or face through the sleeping bag. The sand is surprising, soft and supple, and she thinks about how it will sift and redistribute around her body as she sleeps. In the morning, there is water. Sue always needs to separate dreams from reality when she wakes up, so at first the wet sensation starting at her feet doesn't alarm her. It takes a long time to come to the surface because of how heavy her head feels. Her calves and her knees are cold, her lower back, her belly, and when she finally opens her eyes, she sits up screaming. The bottom of the tent is filled with seawater, maybe 4 inches of it. Their sleeping bags are soaked, their glasses and headlamp and water bottle floating gently. Anna's eyes are wide. Lying on her back, the water is lapping up the sides of her pillow and wetting big sections of her hair, coming up towards her ears. Sue unzips the sleeping bags and drags Anna by her arm up and through the door of the tent, its zipper sticking. Sue's ears completely useless because of the sound of her heart. They fumble through the door, Anna's foot sticking and tearing the fabric, and out onto the beach, which is now underwater, up to their shins. Without them in it, the tent floats too. Anna is pale and shivering. "High tide," Sue says. "Oh God, I don't believe it." She leans forward, hands on her knees. "I don't believe it." Her body, feeling very awake now because of the adrenaline, trembles. "Are you okay, eh?" She stands up and takes her daughter all the way in and squeezes. They are soaking wet. It is maybe 7 in the morning, the sun still pale. "I'm okay," Anna says. Sue has never felt her daughter stand so still, the water coming up higher and higher on her legs, her thin nightshirt see-through and stuck. Sue holds the tent while Anna drags their sleeping bags out and up the stairs to the road. Then she carries the whole sagging tent up the stairs too, holding it by where the poles meet and cross. Anna runs back for the water bottle, which is traveling in small increments out to sea, and from the bottom of the stairs she can see the tent and the spread-out sleeping bags and her mother, looking at all of it and shaking her head with a kind of wonder, a kind of bewilderment. Anna looks behind her at the ocean coming closer and the sand disappearing. "Good thing it's going to be a sunny day," she calls up, shielding her eyes with the bottle.